When you were talking about the party, the event, and then you were showing the pictures to the client immediately.
Yes.
And the yeses and the maybes, so those were their yeses and their maybes. They weren't your suggestions.
No.
Okay.
And that's because we're showing them immediately following. No one has even had time to look at them yet. And so the other thing that happens, and I'm glad you asked that, because the other thing that happens in that process is we explain to them how it works, your yeses, nos, and maybes, that's how it works. But then we also, as we're flipping through the images the first time, if there's something that is really a no, we don't let them sit on it and just, say, if it's a no, we're going to put 3, which sends it to the no pile.
Before they see them?
Well, they're sitting there with us,
okay.
So they're seeing it, but we're just going to get rid of it for them, just
not let it sit
there. And you're honestly, I mean, when it's part of, and you'll see tomorrow, but when it's part of this, and they're seeing it immediately following, and you're just flipping through the first time, they're not in that mindset even of, that just went away, They can see that it's even if they say, even if they do say no, they're not ever going to go back to it. They don't remember.
Okay, so, because when you said that earlier, I was like, wow, hey, wait a minute, I'm the expert here. When I see a really great picture, or if I grab one, capture it, and so I guess it just struck me funny that they're the ones who are selecting. But I mean, they're the client, and
Yep.
These pictures are for them.
Through the order process, anytime, even if you're doing the initial edit, you're still presenting them with a certain number of images, right? And so let's say you do a regular session and you're presenting them with 30 images. Yes, those 30 images are still the 30 that you chose from the session, but you're still presenting 30, and then they have to narrow those down to their very favorites. So it's the same process, except for they're actually seeing everything I shot.
Okay.
But the benefit of that, again, is they're seeing it, they're ordering it, and I never touch an image again that was not ordered. And so there's not the sitting for hours in front of the computer editing images, And everybody knows these days exactly what we can do in Photoshop. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had moms even sit there and say, well, you can take that wrinkle out, right? Well, no, iron your stupid shirt if you want the wrinkles out,
Wow.
Yeah, but they all do. They all say, make me skinnier, take these out. I mean, they know what we can do. And so it's scary the first couple of times to show them immediately following. But once you do it a couple times and realize that it does not affect your sale, and those sessions are so much more profitable because you have cut out a huge portion of the workflow. And I was going to say this earlier as well, and I lost it. But because of this process, and I've been doing this since about 2001 when I started doing charitable marketing events where we shoot and then sell, and at the same time. And so that turned into doing these real kids events, but now we're actually doing them for other portrait sessions in the studio. And that's happened because I'm in a tiny little town. I'm about 45 minutes away from my target market, and then I photograph people even beyond that. So people are coming at a minimum 45 minutes. And these days, I never got the argument, you mean I have to come back next week to drive all that way to see the images?
To view, yeah.
But I started getting it a couple years ago. And so we said, all right, what's the yes answer for the client and yes for my business and my family? And so we came up with what we call the same day experience. And so if somebody even hesitates about coming back the next week, we let them know, no problem. We do have what we call the same day experience, and what that would allow you to do is to come and be photographed in the morning, which would be that 11 o'clock session. And then we'll send you out to lunch. I buy their lunch, which, I don't care if it's $30, $40, whatever. That client is invested in me, and in that time, it's a no-brainer. So I send them out to lunch, and then after lunch, they come back and view their images. So it's not a lot of time to sit and mess with images, but I can pop them into Lightroom. I can run a few through on one software if I want to. I've got presets set in there. I can get them done quickly to be able to show them within 45 minutes to an hour when they come back. So that works beautifully as well. With that, pretty much the only thing that's gone are the major uglies. We're not sitting down and editing down to like the 30 perfect ones. So they're still seeing a huge variety, and they're having to cull out the yes, nos, and maybes.
Okay, so MK Mez would like to know, says you say you like to always have a yes answer. What if someone asks for a style that you're not, that your traditional style or niche? For example, a post-processing style far away from your own. How do you say yes to this?
I think the first part of that is that people aren't typically going to ask you for something that you don't show. And so always be careful that once you define your style and really what you want to do, don't put anything else on your website or on Facebook or anywhere else. And that's a problem that a lot of people get into, I think, is, and especially starting, we want to show everything because we don't feel like we have enough to show. But I would much rather see 5 fantastic images on a gallery and on a website than see 30 crappy ones and 5 good ones, And so really get down to only what you want to show, what you want to sell, and then you don't get those questions. If you do get the question, and I actually got the question this year from a very good client, and we have now the world of Pinterest. And so clients come in going, I want this, I want this, I want this. And again, if you have a super defined style, you're not going to get it as much. But I had a client that came in early this year, and I'm going to show you the slideshow from this session one of these days. But they came in, or she called me and she said, I'm really loving this sun flare thing that I see on Pinterest. And I was like, yeah, not my thing. Not bad for anybody else who does it. That's great for somebody else. Just that's why we can all be in business. I feel the same way about crazy baby props and hanging babies and putting them in baskets and whatever. It's not for me, but that's people don't come to me for that. They're going to choose someone else. That's why we can all be in business. But she asked me about the sunflare thing. Great client. And so I told her, you know what? Let's plan a session. I'm going to do all the things that I do, but I'll experiment a little bit. And I was just honest with her, and I told her, I'm not into the sunflare thing, and so I don't even know how to do it. But I'll figure it out before you guys get here. And so it was a creative exercise for me as well. And one of those things where, no, it's not what I want to do on a day-to-day basis, but sure, I'll stretch myself and do something. So I think the important thing is to think your answers through. And so when, if you're in a sales room and you get an objection, if you're on the phone and somebody says, but my kids are in school, whatever it is, think about how you're going to either address it before it comes up the next time or answer it with a positive answer that's right for you the next time.
Great.
A question from Kelly J is, what criteria do you have for selecting your salesperson?
That's a good question. Criteria for selecting a salesperson is, I absolutely believe that the salesperson is the first easiest person to bring into your team. And our salespeople are always part-time. Right now, I don't have that sales staff and in sales we have different people. My main staff has been with me forever, 10 years, 5 years, 5 years. And so my office manager, Kim, is doing some of the sales now. I do some of the sales now. But bringing a new person in is one of those things that if someone loves my work and loves people, they're hired. Those are really the 2 main criteria. I do want someone that fits the profile of my target client, and that's what we're going to get into next. So whether it's for the Real Kids events or studio, whatever it is, I want that salesperson to fit my target client because they're the one that's going to be connecting and communicating with them during the sale. But the main 2 criteria, I really don't want them to have any sales experience. So they have to love my work and they have to love working with people. So easy to find those people. A lot of times when I'm looking for someone to come in and do sales, I just call somebody that I think fits the part, and I'll tell them, I'm looking for somebody to work with our clients in the design process and help them with their orders. I thought of you immediately because you would be perfect for this, and I thought maybe you would have a friend that might be interested. And by saying that, it opens up the door for them to say, you think I would, maybe I could do this, tell me a little bit more about it. Or they might actually know of somebody who kind of fits the profile. So usually friends surround themselves, or people surround themselves with friends that are like them. And so if you can kind of target that right person and just make a phone call, you never know what will happen. I've been able to do that quite a bit and bring on part-time people And that's a way too that I'm able to do 11 in 1, is because I don't want a 5 o'clock sales appointment. I don't want a 7 o'clock sales appointment, but somebody else, that's going to be perfect for. If she wants to be home with her kids during the day, or she wants to, whatever it is, and she wants to be out on, every Thursday night with a 7 o'clock appointment. That's great for her. So our salespeople, we pay a 5% commission to. So that's another thing as well, that they're very motivated to work with the client through the design process to get them amazing things for their home, and they get and it's 5 to 10 depending on the product that they're selling, but
Do they have
at
a
least
base?
5. They have a base hourly. It's $15 an hour plus 5% commission.
So we have about 15 minutes before we go to our next break. Do you want to keep going or ask questions, or what do you want to do?
If you have questions, let's ask questions.
Okay.
Okay. Terrific wants to know, when people ask you to take out the wrinkle, what is your response? How far do you take these kind of enhancements?
I will go as far as they want me to go. And actually, that's one of the tools that you can use when you're showing the images immediately following, or if you choose to take the step of not editing through your images, not retouching everything before the client sees them, which is huge to your workflow. But we'll actually tell them, now these images haven't been retouched that you're about to see, so as you go through them, I want you to think about how far you want me to go. And I'll literally put it to them like that so that they can tell me, I want it all gone, or leave that birthmark, or leave that mole, or whatever. Even with high school seniors, with kids, there are some times when you can't tell if it's a zit or a mole, And so I will literally ask them, as we go through the images, let me know.
You're okay with me retouching that booger, right?
And and I'll run a soft filter action on everything as we batch it out of Lightroom. And so it's got kind of like a portraiture export on one's got a great one. So we'll do some stuff like that, but we will not sit and retouch every image before they see it. And if you use it in a positive way. These aren't retouched, and I want you to let me. And obviously you're gonna mess with 1 or 2 of them. You want them to kind of see what you can do. But especially with kids, man, go black and white, show them. There's not a whole lot you have to do. But absolutely, we skinny moms up, we wrinkle free them, we whatever we got to do. Make sure they love the images. And in fact, that's something that I communicate to moms when, say we've got a newborn session and a mom is telling me on the phone, I do not want to be photographed. I've got 25 pounds on me, whatever. And I'm going to tell her, you know what? Bring something and be prepared, because I'm going to pull you into an image or 2. Remember that it's my job to make sure you feel and look beautiful. And, and I'm basically telling her, if you don't want to buy them, don't buy them. That's all on me, And so I think that's another thing that we can communicate to people. And I will tell them, yes, every image that you get in your hands is going to be perfect. You're not going to see them perfect here, straight out of the camera. I'm going to let you help me decide how far you want me to go.
Great.
Do you charge for this retouch?
No.
No.
I'm only doing it on the ordered images, and so they've basically paid for the retouching within the price that we're charging.
Oh, okay.
Just had a comment that I wanted to make to you, how much I appreciate you explaining when you work. Because I work probably 5 days a week from 3 until dark, and then all weekend to accommodate families and seniors that are in school. Mm-hmm. And when you pointed out the dentist, I thought, of course, how many times do we run our kids to the orthodontist or the doctor in the middle of the school day without even thinking about it? So that really might make a big difference, I think, for me.
I think I'm still too much of a scaredy cat.
Well, you want to make everybody happy.
I'm such a people pleaser.
And write it down.
I think it'll be a while before I can work myself up to doing that.
Right.
Write it down. And and
I'll
I'm
be
the same
working with kids for a
way.
while.
You're gonna be afraid of
I am
losing
definitely
people.
a people pleaser, and I don't ever want anybody to be mad at me. It
like my worst
breaks
fear.
my heart. And so that it's definitely a struggle. But when you say, okay, what has to come first?
Yeah.
And when you put your priority in place and say, my family comes first, I'm going to write down exactly what I'm going to say to them, and just write that out. Just write down, hey, tell me how long it's been since you had a family session. That doesn't sound like I'm being bossy or, anything. I really am genuinely asking, how long has it been? Really? Well, this is really important to your family. And it actually adds more value to the session and to the portraits in the end when you can communicate that. You know, Dad
What if it
comes
gets back to
in.
the principal, since I'm involved in the pack and all of the it's like, guess what? Janice is taking kids out of school to photograph.
But why not?
It won't get that bad. You know, and the other way I look at it is, you know, I can only photograph about 200 families a year.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're not all going to come from one school. They're not, you know, I mean,
I'm
some of them
teasing,
are
but-
during the summer.
Yeah, I'm teasing, but yeah.
Because it has such an impact on our families when we work evenings and weekends
Yes.
continuously.
Yeah.
So a negative impact. So it's nice.
And how old are your kids? I know your son, I called your husband.
I have a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, 17, and 19.
Wow, 12, 15, 17, 19. So that's a busy place.
You're busy.
They're at a good age. They're more self-sufficient now, so it makes it easier for me to do this. But even so, they still need dinner. They still need rides.
Yeah.
The house still needs to be cleaned. All those mom things.
So 19-year-old that had the Twitter,
No, 15.
15.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I
doing a
still
lot of
haven't
work for
figured
them.
Twitter out completely, so I'm
Well,
working on
her son
that.
posted her video for her.
And I have to
so-
say,
I thought it was her husband too.
Well,
Yeah.
my son is a movie maker, and it killed him
Yeah.
that I said, just stick it on. It's in a hurry, we have a deadline. And he wanted to put music and embellish and scenes and all this stuff, and I just said, just stick it online. So it was really hard for him. But
That's awesome.
But it was
then,
cute
yeah,
that you Twittered
I
him.
went to the thing and it was a guy, and so I was like, tell your cute wife, da da da. And he's like, it's my mom.
hello. But thanks for that.
I actually have a sales-related question. Your salespeople, do you have them actually go seek out? I mean, obviously, you probably don't have to have them seek out, but I mean, for a person like me, would it be valuable for me to enlist the services of a salesperson to do some outside sales and bring them through that conversation of getting them booked and you know what I mean?
Finding new clients, you mean?
Right. I mean, clients are starting to find me more, but I mean, is that something that
Well,
you've ever
one
tried?
thing that I did years ago, and I don't do it anymore, but it worked great, and I definitely recommend it. But I actually had somebody who looked at local publications, looked at the newspaper, you know, all these different things where if somebody was listed as one of the top 10 realtors in the city or top 10 doctors, or they were being rewarded for some, you know, charitable thing that they did, you know, whatever. We were always constantly looking for people to congratulate and say, we appreciate you. And we would send them a letter and tell them, you know, how much we appreciated, and it was personal. We let them know why. And then we sent them a gift certificate for a family session. And I'll tell you, in building the business, anytime there's a time, and we all go through business building stages, no matter how long we've been in business, you know, you're going to go through it again and again at different stages. But any time that happens, if you know what your niche is and know who your target client is, we're going to go through the target client process next. If you know who your target client is and you can get that person into your business, I would do a free session every single day of the week, you know, if it's the right person coming there. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but, you know, to be able to congratulate somebody, that's the right person to get in. Or if you have a salesperson that's super well connected, have her host an event, you know, for you. There's different things that ways to utilize them. I have a friend, Travis Gugelman, who learned, and I have too, from a photographer, Bill Sorensen. And I don't know if anybody's heard Bill's name in a while, but Bill, I invested a lot of money to go and spend with Bill. And one of the things that he taught was, and if anybody knows, like Dan Kennedy, some of like the marketing masterminds of the day. Bill kind of had that kind of mentality. And one of the things that he did was cold calling. And he also did knocking on doors. And while it didn't fit for me, my friend Travis Gugelman actually went and knocked on doors. And I always tell him that it was easier for him because he's Mormon. But he literally would go knock on doors, and when somebody would answer, he would say, first they went and hung doorknob things. And they hung doorknobs that said, portrait session, the week of, blah, 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 Gugelman photography, you know, just kind of had like an ad. And then they went back like 3 days later, and they said, I'm here to book your portrait session. And they did it in select neighborhoods, like high-end neighborhoods, and they would just knock on a door and, you know, hi, I'm Travis Gugelman, I'm here to book your portrait session. Well, what do you mean? We didn't call. no, but I'm here to book your portrait session. I mean, he literally did this, and he got busy, and he runs one of the most successful studios in this country. Hardcore, works his butt off, and started door to door. That's how he started his business. So it's not that that can't work, you know. The cold calling thing, I think if you've got a list of, it's got to be pre-qualified, you know, you've got to have some parameters around that, but there's no reason not to. I know for me and my business, I'm not cold calling, but we make lots of phone calls. When it gets to be about fall, I know these days people are so busy and they're sitting around thinking about it, but they're not picking up the phone. So we call them and we say, you know, hey, this is Lori. I was just thinking about you guys. How's everybody doing? You know, we just chat. And then I let them know, you know, hey, I would love to get you guys in for a holiday session. We are really booking up. So if you guys want to get on the schedule, let's go ahead and find a time that works for you. And we're booking sessions by actually calling them instead of waiting for them to call us. And it's just the sign of the times, you know. We're all busy, we're all distracted, all, you know, have a million things going, and yeah.
Quick question. When you're giving away those the free sessions to the influential people, is it just the session fee that is free? And are they then purchasing their product? And how, I find that a little bit tricky for me when I'm photographing influential people, for instance, a lot of high profile social media people. So I'll photograph them and I'm giving them some product for free because I want them to have it and I want to be, you know, generous. But then I don't know how to then move for an upsell because again, although I'm intense, I'm kind of still terrified. So
I'll tell you the yes.
What do you mean?
I'll tell you the yes.
Okay. So what do you do to gets a sale out of the free sale?
Yep. And this, and I'll go back to this again when we talk about displays. But the reason I started doing this was as a result of displays, and displays built my business in the beginning.
Okay.
And it's always that kind of that natural thing. Well, if I ask them to be a model for the display, I should give them an 8x10 or give them a, you know. And I didn't want to do that. I knew I didn't want to do that. So putting that script in place, what happens is whether it's somebody that you give a gift certificate to, invite in for a free session. I've never had anything printed that says, hey, your kid's so cute, come in for a free session. However, I will stop my target client in the mall or Target or wherever and say, you have adorable children. I'm a photographer, I would love to photograph them. Let me give you my card. I'll write on there. I'll tell them, you know, let my staff know when you call that the session's on me. So what happens with any of those sessions that we're doing like that, they're gonna ask us, and they will every single time. They're gonna say to you, am I gonna get to buy anything? Am I gonna get to see these? I mean, the question will come up in some way. And so our answer is the same every single time, and it's absolutely we're gonna walk you through the process just like a regular client. You're gonna get to see all the images, and if there's anything you'd like to purchase, that's great. If not, that's okay too. And so it's just this script, you know, this is the way it happens every single time. And it will happen that they will ask you. Okay. And usually it's right when you're booking it, it's right on that first phone call. If it doesn't, they're gonna ask you during the session and they're gonna say, you know, and the answer is, we're gonna walk you through just like a regular client.
Because like I just did a shoot this last weekend and up till 2:30 in the morning, night before she came, doing her book, and she loves the book. I sent her the preview. I said, I just want to check it over before you order it. And so she loves it, and I told her I was going to give it to her at no cost because she's doing advertising for me for free, yada yada. And I told her I'd give her a couple 11x14s for free. But then she asked for 2 more for holiday gifts because she loves them. She's like, oh, can I get 2 more? So do I just sell her those at cost? Because I told her, okay, what they're about.
No one should ever know what your cost is.
But do you know what I mean? I know. So then I'm like, what do I do? Because I feel so. It's just then I get scared. So then I'm like, okay, well maybe I'll just give her each of them at cost, and then I just, Lori, help.
Well,
how do I transition?
And now you know next time that you're going to let her know from the beginning anything additional you'd like to purchase, that's great. If not, there's no pressure.
Yeah.
That way she already knows that if she asks for something else, she will be purchasing it.
Okay.
But for this time, I would just say, you know, absolutely, I'd love for you to grab anything you'd like. I'm going to send you over my product menu. Okay. And then just email it or whatever.
Because I didn't tell her that I would do the additionals at cost. I just didn't really mention it yet. So I
think if you've already given her an album, then you've gone above and beyond.
Yeah, I've already given her an album, and I was going to give her, and that album, I mean, I'm a perfectionist. I've got to get that under control. So, you know, I've spent about eight hours on her album. And because I did a 26
Templates,
page.
templates.
I know, because I'm a perfectionist and need to work on that. And so, I've already given her so much work for free, so I just didn't really know how to handle that, so.
Well, I would just send her, say absolutely, I'm going to send you over the product menu. Anything you'd like to add on is great.
Okay.
Just very positively and matter of factly.